And g'day, my name is Aussie Stern, a country Victorian gamer of Star Wars Armada, Star Wars Legion, Dystopian, Flames War, and many other games entirely. Today I just wanted to do a brief video, quite brief, on some recent activities that I have been doing with my local gaming group. You may have seen that about a month or two ago, I started a Star Wars Armada campaign with a friend called Chris, and we have been slowly posting some posts up. We have since then had one more battle that occurred recently, and unfortunately some things happened, and I guess the best way of explaining it is just by saying it. So we started off with a mission that we selected. I sent my main fleet, which was my MC-80 Hammerhead Corvette and a GR-75, on a ambush mission, hoping to maybe potentially ambush like one or two small ships. More so, it was there in range to assist my other fleet, which was doing a Raise Hope mission. The problem being is that the sector, that the actual spot that I decided to have my ship on, the Hex, he also happened to have a fleet doing a convoy escort mission in that same Hex. So in actual fact, I ambushed a convoy by slightly mistake. Now, as you may know from my last couple of missions that I've done with Convoy Run, I was actually quite successful. So I was thinking, yeah, I'll do this. I won't have to worry too much about my other mission, seeing it was being unopposed. So then I decided to go ahead with the mission. To that end, he brought in his fleet, consisted of a Architon, a Quasar, and also a Raider. So small, two smalls and a medium. Not too much trouble. Then we rolled for the convoy. Convoy, we got two bulk cruisers, a medium transport, and a irregular light transport. And then he had a number of fighters and I had fighters as well. But that meant that he ended up having 7 activations versus my 3. Excuse me. That meant that he could deploy his freighters in a way that they could either skip around my flank and get to the end of the table edge quite quickly, or in actual fact put his escorts down in a way that it made me split my forces. To that end, at the end of the game, I didn't manage to actually knock out any of his craft, but he managed to destroy everything of mine, including my MC-80 with my fleet Admiral Sato. At that point, I decided that there was no way the rebellion would come back from this type of defeat, because my other mission, the Raise Hope, wouldn't give me any extra credit. I had already lost my other main attack ships in previous rounds, the MC-30 and also a Nebula B. The only thing that I had being built at the time was a Pelter, but I would still need to spend points to get another different Admiral. So I basically called it there and then. And we were both happy with that. We had issues with trying to get together to run the missions, to actually play, and we were still developing the rule set for it quite often. We had also changed it since our last game, a couple of mechanics in the game as well. And hopefully by the time I post this video, I will have a update from Chris as to the sector command rules. A couple of things. We do think that the 300 point buy-in for the rebels to the Imperial's 1,000 is a little bit steep. Now, as a rebel player, I could theoretically buy 2 huge craft and hope to do some missions where I can rack up the points to get some of the lighter ones. I could have gone opposite and bought a whole heap of light ones, but then I would run into the trouble of waiting until I get enough ships to capture a shipyard, wait 3 turns to build a large ship or a medium, or 2 turns for a medium ship. A whole lot of bother to try and get the reinforcements. To that end, we decided, well, the galaxy is a lot larger than this one sector we're playing in. So what if we made it that you could purchase ships from outside the sector, but there is some sort of mitigating factor? Namely, it takes a little bit longer for it to be built. So for example, if I wanted to build an assault frigate, it would normally take 2 turns in the sector, but we said it would take 3 turns. 2 turns to build it wherever it was, and 1 turn to actually get it to us. That worked out well. We also thought maybe increase the price. So therefore keeping it 2 turns, but instead of it being 70 points, raise it by that and half of that vessel again. So a 70 point vessel would end up being somewhere like around about the 105 point. Good mitigation in that way. We also talked about seeing I had captured one of his shipyards, and I was keeping on feeding hope tokens on it, just on the off chance he suddenly brought in a huge fleet to suppress it, and I wasn't going to defend it very well. But it meant that I kept on having more hope tokens on it than what I needed. So it came up with the concept that if I had like 3 or 4 hope tokens on a still Imperial held planet, then I would get points for each of them. I think it's something like 5 to 10 points for each hope token. What if, after the planet has turned rebellion, those extra hope tokens, which in a minor world costed 4 hope tokens to turn it into open rebellion, those extras turned into donations, the ability like plus 5 points for each extra. So that meant that the planet would give me 10 at being a minor world, but the donations would give me another 10 to 20, depending on how many hope tokens on it, and suppression tokens as well. But it meant that the idea of the rebels getting local aid, we saw that in Star Wars Rebellion quite a lot, with the idea of the Lothal citizens giving the rebels food and clothing and some support, but not high enough to risk them. Not until suddenly the rebel fleet was there and actually cleared it, then everyone came out of the woodwork to support. So I thought that was probably a good idea. We also thought that, like I said, the initial buy-in seemed to be a bit one-sided. We thought the buy-in could be increased by 50 to 100. I'd go with probably go with the 50 idea of 350 points versus 1,000 still. That would give me the opportunity to get a large, as well as some steady medium to minor ships. It also meant that I would be able to get some fighters and really deck it out. We thought, could we decrease the Imperials? No. We wanted to make sure that the Imperials had an overwhelming advantage to start off with. So, to start off with, 1,000 is probably appropriate. And then having those fleets deliberately being split up into 3 or 4 different fleets. The other thing that we developed throughout the campaign is the idea of diplomats and also agents. Initially, they were all one group, but then we split it off into 2. Now, the diplomat or the bureaucrat was able to do things like increase tax for the bureaucrat. He was able to, the rebel one was able to seek donations. Both of them were able to get influence in terms of trying to recruit a unique character or a unique upgrade to add to the fleet. The agents, they could either, for the ISB agent, the Imperial agent, they could go and search for our bases, the rebels' bases, or try and infiltrate our fleet, which one unfortunately did and blew up one of my GR-75s in the rear. I told them not to fire the red button. For the rebel side, the agents can go and potentially try and capture ships, which unfortunately all of my guys didn't really achieve. They were all caught or didn't do enough. So there was a lot of things that we had gameplay wise that just wasn't there to start off with, and as the game has progressed, has improved. Where does that leave us now? Well, like I said, we finished the campaign, and now we're looking towards doing some more games. We're going to do more games of Battletech, more games of Star Wars Armada, sort of thing in the classical sense. And maybe next year we might, one of us, or even if we get a group together, we might do another campaign. This time looking at maybe having multiple, in terms of a couple of people doing the event at the same time. So me and another person playing in one sector while Chris and another person playing in another. And seeing how we can go. We may even have a chat about the idea of, if we have 2 campaigns happening at the same time, the possibility of movement between the 2, whether it be by resources or donations sort of thing, or some sort of overall command structure, something or other. But we'll have a chat about that, I reckon. The other thing that I am going to be working on in the next week or 2 is some painting videos. I have my Shapeway order number 3 that has Corellian gunships and some space station and some freighters that I'm going to paint up. I still have some Legion painting videos that I need to do some editing on and have that issued shortly. And that's about it. Just trying to keep, as you can hear, I've got a bit of a cough, unfortunately. Asthma. It's not a great time of year for me for asthma. Just the pollen, the wet weather, yeah. So life has been in the way quite a bit. But anyway, that's it for me for today. I hope you have enjoyed listening to me ramble. I will get those other videos up shortly in the next week or two. And for now, I'll see you on the table. And goodbye for now. Bye.